Yo, what is up, everybody? Welcome back to another Going Rounds podcast. Once again, back to talk about everything in combat sports and, any other good, juicy stuff in the middle there. But, UFC is usually what we talk about here. But there's a bunch of other stuff going on. So we got a lot to get into, including, you know, news that is just breaking today and stuff like that. There's always got to be something going on, right? Oh, I know why I feel like it. Oh, maybe not. Thought it sounded kind of weird. My headphones have noise canceling, so when it's on, it feels a little weird. Yeah, things sound weird. Who cares? Anyway, yeah. So we got a lot of stuff to go over. Before I go too deep into all of the main topics of this podcast, I did want to just kind of, you know, give a little bit of a reflection back on a friend of mine, a coworker that passed away 2 years ago today. Unfortunately, on the job as well. So that was, yeah, that was a tough thing for me to go through, especially the year before I had lost another really, really good close friend, my buddy John. So time flies, man. It's crazy to know it's been a couple years now since my buddy Derek Green now passed away. He was a great guy. I knew him for a long time. He essentially got me the job that I'm still at now. That was 16 years ago. I had worked with him probably a year before that. Uh, and I didn't stay at that job, so he then got me another opportunity with the company his brother worked for, and that's the company I still work for now. So it's kind of crazy. I owed him a lot. I felt like I owed him a lot regardless. And then he came to work with us as well, years down the road. And, it was just one of those unfortunate kind of things that happen and, you know, freak type health issue that just popped up and unfortunately took his life. So I just wanted to remember him for a minute. Uh, today marks 2 years that he's been gone. So I know his family and friends are still miss him a lot and love him a lot, of course. But yeah, it just makes you think about life a little bit and just a lot of crazy stuff that goes down and petty things that you worry about on a day-to-day basis. And unfortunately, he's got family and friends that loved him a lot and cared for him and probably, still aren't fully over it. It takes a long time to get over something like that, especially someone that was really loved and cared for. So I just wanted to take a minute. Again, like I said, it always makes me remember the other close people that I've lost, and it hasn't been. I've had family members and stuff like that, but day to day people, especially somebody you work with, it's kind of crazy. A lot of us have problems with people we work with, or it is what it is. Everyone's different. Things happen, and people don't get along or whatnot. But when it comes down to it, you spend a lot of time with people that you work with. If you work in a setting that you have to be in an office or just out and about, whatever you do, unless you work at home, even then you have some kind of a relationship with people that you speak with every day. So, but when you work closely and you have history and stuff, and you consider these people your friends, it's tough. It's one thing if they quit or something like that, and it's up to you to keep in touch. But when someone passes away, it just sucks. It's hard. It's tough. So, it's been a busy day for me and all that, but I still remember and I still sucks. It still sucks to think about. And I go places. I have daily reminders at times because I'll see his handwriting on something. Uh I'll be in a place that was his job at the time. We call them our jobs because it'll be a project. It was his project basically. and or he did most of the work, or I'm trying to remember something that happened and I remember that it was him that did it, you know? So, daily reminders a lot of times. Sometimes there'll be days that I don't remember, don't come across things that remind me, but it's still, it's still there, it's still fresh, and it still hurts to think about. So I just wanted to give a minute to, just reflect on my friend. And, you know, I know he was actually one of the few people at work that would talk to me all the time about fights. He would purposely watch the fights every weekend because he knew I would be too. He'd be texting me during the fights and talking to me about them. And I know he'd be super interested and into the fact that now I do a podcast about it. Uh and I know he'd be very uh supportive too. So yeah, it's just wanted to say that real quick and get that out of the way. It's been on my head all day too. I like I said, it's a couple years goes by and it feels like a long time, but then it doesn't at the same time. So um yeah, that's about it for that. uh anyway, um yeah, bunch of stuff to go over today. And I'm getting closer to my Vegas trip for UFC X, the fan expo. That's how I know it because that's the first time I went was in I believe 2013. We were talking about it the other day, and me and my wife, and we were trying to remember if it was 2012 or 2013. I feel like it was 13. Either way, it was a while ago, a long time ago. They stopped calling it the fan expo. I guess they just call it X now, UFC X, which is cool. Same concept, it sounds like. But there's gonna be like live podcasts and stuff like that. Uh I believe USC Unfiltered is gonna be there, which is Jim Norton and Matt Serra. It's the official UFC podcast. Uh and then I heard today that DC and RC are gonna be there. So Daniel Cormier and Ryan Clark do a show together about MMA, obviously. And I listen to all these podcasts all the time. So it'd be cool to go watch them there. I guess they're gonna do live podcasts on site there, so that'll be cool. It's gonna be a lot of events, and there's gonna be a lot of things going on. So I'm gonna be pretty busy. But luckily, my wife thought about the fact that it's not gonna be a normal trip, and we're gonna have some fun in San Diego, go to the beach and stuff beforehand. So that'd be awesome. And I just realized earlier today that next week is my last full week of being in town and being at work, and then I'm gonna have like 10 days where I'm gone. It's kind of nutty. I'm not usually into being gone that long, being away from work that long. I'm taking advantage of the long weekend with the holiday, 4th of July and stuff. So yeah, it's gonna be a long time away. It's kind of nutty. I'm not used to that kind of stuff, and it gives me a little bit of anxiety and trips me out a little bit. But it'll be cool. It'll be fun, and I'm looking forward to spending some good quality time with my wife and stuff like that. So it'll be awesome. So yeah, I'm still gonna put a podcast out that week. That's 2 weeks down the road. It's gonna be for the big UFC 290. Yeah, 290. Will be that week too. I'm not going to the fight itself. I'm gonna be watching at a nice pool with a gigantic screen in front of me, apparently. So that'll be pretty dope. Uh so yeah, it's gonna be fun, and I can't wait. But I will put a podcast out unless something crazy happens. But my plan is, we're driving and stuff. We're not flying, so I can take more stuff with me, and I plan on taking my things. And even if it's a pre-recorded podcast, I'll be there to, you know, put out the content like normal. So be on the lookout for that, and no watch party because I'll be in Vegas, obviously. So man, I feel like there's a bit of a delay between my camera and my screen. I don't know. It's a little weird. I'm gonna have to look into that because that's kind of driving me crazy. But that's all right. I won't focus on myself. I'll focus on what I need to focus on, which is all the great content that I got coming up for you guys, including, if you hadn't heard, Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg are talking about having an actual fight. We're about to get into that. Got some recaps of last week's fights. And then some previews of the fights coming up this weekend. PFL's got their season going again, and they're progressing in their season. So they always have a few weeks in a row where they have fights every week. Got to go over last week's and go over this week's coming up. And then, of course, all the other crazy drama going on in combat sports. So let's get into it, and let's start with that. Here we go. Like I said, Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg. If you don't know who they are, which you've been living under a rock or something if you don't, Elon Musk, owner of Tesla and Twitter, he's been in the news a lot. And then Mark Zuckerberg, who is, Mr. Meta himself, owner of the metaverse and Facebook, Instagram, everything else that comes along with it. So, yeah, these two guys. I guess there was some Twitter stuff going on back and forth, and I didn't really put everything up here. This is just a quote from Dana White, so let's just see real quick what was said that started all this. Basically, here's the thing. Mark Zuckerberg has been doing jiu-jitsu for a while. I covered that a little bit ago on the show weeks back, because he was involved in a tournament, and then he took over the UFC Apex one night. Apparently they were doing stuff for the metaverse or whatever, but yeah, he basically, like, I guess rented it out or something, but that was a whole controversial thing too. So anyway, they're both in the news all the time, of course. And they say, I guess Elon Musk tweeted, "I'm sure Earth can't wait to be exclusively under Zuck's thumb with no other options," which, shots fired there. And then some other Twitter user just responded jokingly saying, telling Elon Musk that Zuckerberg's jiu-jitsu skills are pretty, basically just cautioning him of the jiu-jitsu skills of Mark Zuckerberg. So Elon Musk said, "I'm up for a cage match if he is." And then I guess Zuckerberg caught wind and just sent which was pretty clever of him. His response was just in light of Khabib and the things he used to say, a simple "send me location." And then Musk responded with "Vegas Octagon. That's it." And then he said, "I have this great move that I call the walrus, where I just lie on top of my opponent and do nothing." It's a little weird. I'm thinking maybe he's just jokingly alluding to him in the bed with a woman or a man, whatever he's into. I don't know. The walrus, where I just lie on top of my opponent and do nothing. Okay, Elon. These guys are fucking weird. Regardless. But Dana White was on some interview. I don't remember what it was for. And he said, "I was talking to both Elon and Mark last night. Both guys are absolutely dead serious about this. This would be the biggest fight ever in the history of the world. Bigger than anything that has ever been done. If these guys are serious, I make fights that people want to see." Okay, Dana. That's what I do for a living. If they really want to do it and they're serious, we can figure out a way to pull this off. I would absolutely positively do this. Now, this is coming from fucking Dana White, who, well, what did he just say not too long ago? "Oh, we don't do those gimmick fights around here." Shut the fuck up. Like, this is the most gimmicky fight of all gimmick fights. What the fuck are you talking about? And obviously it's a nice little cash grab, because they'll rake in the fucking money. And Elon and Mark Zuckerberg don't need that money. Neither does Dana White either, but the company itself, whoever decides that they need the money, they'll fucking rake in the money with an event like that. Now, Mr. fucking, I don't do those gimmick fights, Dana, man, this fool. I guess when you're friends with both of these guys, obviously he's friends with Mark Zuckerberg with the whole UFC Apex takeover thing. And while Elon Musk is close with, well, maybe not close, but he's good friends with Joe Rogan. It's obvious, like, Rogan and Dana are close. Maybe that's how Dana knows Elon. Maybe it's other ways. I'm not sure. I never really seen too much about them together, but this is fucking hilarious. I don't know. He also said, after speaking with both men, White is willing to build an entire card with some really fun fights with Musk versus Zuckerberg as the pay-per-view headliner. Oh shit. I don't know, man. I don't know what the fuck people are doing, but I guess if Elon and Zuck have a beef, they can settle it in the cage or in a cage match, according to Elon Musk. I think it's hilarious. I don't fucking know. Zuckerberg is serious about jiu-jitsu, though. He trains with Mikey Musumeci, who, if you remember, won championship champion for grappling. He's just a fucking phenom. He's a little goofy, nerdy kid, but like Joe Rogan says, he's like a nerd assassin because he'll wrap your ass up, choke you out, break an arm, break a leg, fuck you up basically on the ground. So you don't really want to mess with that little nerdy guy. And Zuckerberg is trying to do the same thing and be a nerd assassin too, apparently. So yeah, that's pretty interesting shit there. That's breaking news today. Obviously, I'm not breaking this news here. I'm sure you might have heard about it or seen a headline or two, but I'm just saying this just happened today. All this transpired or whatnot. It's fucking crazy, man. Who knows what else is gonna happen? Maybe they'll just do a fight in the metaverse. I heard some bullshit like that coming from some other weird shit about a fight in the metaverse for a title. I don't even know how that goes down. I don't know much about the metaverse because this shit's getting crazy, man. I don't know how much I really want to delve into all this stuff. I have enough to deal with and worry about with everything else I do. I don't know that I need to worry about all that shit, but it might be the future, so I might be forced to. I don't know. It is what it is. We'll see how it goes. We'll see what comes up. But as for that, we'll just we'll see what comes about. Who knows? But moving on to more, of course, headlines. TMZ Sports released this video earlier this week of Conor McGregor. You know, it doesn't look good because he is obviously outside a men's bathroom, like what was described. Walks in and has security going around on the outside. Now, here's the thing. Again, I don't want to victim blame or anything like that because I don't even know if she's a victim here. Alleged victim is correct, as you see in that video. Alleged. Because Conor comes out and grabs her by the hand. She has another girl, which seems to be her friend that they were talking about, and you know, walks her into the bathroom. And yes, the security is holding people from going in, but that's, I mean, obviously they would probably do that if Conor was in there by himself. But in the video, it's hard to hear anything, so it's rough to play the audio because it's kind of just bullshit, really. But you do hear guys going, "Oh, come on," because I'm sure they're like, "We want to go to the fucking bath. Like, I got to take a piss, bro. We're drinking, having fun. I need to take a piss." At some point in time, you got to release your bladder, right? So that's probably what's happening here. Conor comes out, says some shit to somebody. I don't know. He looks kind of agitated. Maybe he just needed a bump, you know? Maybe she had it, and maybe that's what was going on here. But, anyway, as you see, he leads her into the bathroom, holding her hand. She's not forced. She wasn't forced by anybody. She said she walked into the bathroom, and in the bathroom was one of his bodyguards and him waiting for her. They said that they slammed the door behind her and locked her in and didn't allow her friend in, while her friend is walking behind her, holding her hand as well. And then as they go in, her friend continues to go to the side. So it's not, they did not let her in. She just chose to walk that way. So this doesn't look good for Conor, for the fact that he's a married man with kids. Who knows what kind of relationship maybe they have an open relationship. I don't know. Maybe he forces the open side of the relationship for only him. Who knows? Maybe he's just that disrespectful to his wife that he just does this. Like, but how can you be so stupid, Conor? Like, you have people with cameras all over the place. You were obviously in the bathroom before, and then you come fucking walking out. You see people with cameras in their hands, well, phones in their hands, which obviously they're going to be recording shit. You're Conor McGregor. They're going to be taking pictures and video. And then he just tells the chick to come on. I mean, he's got a dude right there with the fucking phone in his face. So I don't know. Whatever excuse he had, maybe he's so yacked out that he doesn't realize what he's doing. I don't know, man. I don't know. But it's pretty apparent that he's into some shady shit going on here. And it's odd because, you know, you'd think a guy like this would be, I don't know, maybe going after, I don't know what his tastes in women are, but this doesn't seem correct for the type of woman that I would think Conor McGregor would be going for. Not that there's anything against her, it's just, here we go. Let's look at this next video, because this is allegedly them partying together in a club after the alleged incident. So, you know, I don't know. She just doesn't look like the type of... It looks more like something else is going on here. I just didn't think... I don't know. It's very odd. Maybe the video's deceiving. But he doesn't look very interested, but he's digging in his nose and wiping his nose and looking very... I don't know. I hate to say it. It just... To me, I mean, I've been around people that do coke a lot back in the day, and this is kind of how they acted. So... And he's been, you know, seen and shown in videos and pictures doing coke. And yeah, it just looks like he's doing too much. So whatever's happening here, he obviously doesn't learn. And he just keeps putting himself in these positions. I saw lots of tweets and stuff like that of people saying, why do you keep putting yourself in this position, Conor? Like, why would you even put yourself in that position? And it's true. Like, what the fuck are you doing? The only thing I can think of is, he has a problem, and that problem needs to be addressed, and he's in denial that he has a problem, and he's not in control of that problem. So whether it's drinking or any whatever kind of drugs or whatever else he's into, he's definitely needs to get a handle on it, and he just needs to get his shit together. So yeah, more on that note later, but we'll roll right into a little more about Conor because, well, the Ultimate Fighter Season 31, Episode 4 was last week as well. Now, like I said, I'm gonna touch on the Ultimate Fighter every week just because it is a pretty big thing with Conor being involved. Although, how much involved is he? Because this dude doesn't show up to weigh-ins. He doesn't show up to a lot of the events that are happening. Basically, he shows up to some of the training and he shows up to the fights. That's pretty much it. And then he gets pissed off when his guys don't do what he tells them to do, but he hasn't built that rapport with them, I feel like. And today I just saw hold on. I just saw a video of him and Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, because apparently he brought in Wonderboy to help coach, and which is not a bad idea. But there's been a few different videos of them talking, and one of them's weird because Conor's kind of like fired up, jumping around, talking fast, and you know, like not taking a breath, and then he actually seems like he's out of breath, which a lot of people are like, okay, his cardio sucks right now because he's not even doing anything that physical and he's out of breath. So that's not good. But yeah, there's a bunch of videos of him and Wonderboy talking. And then in this last one today, everyone's like, this is the end of Conor and the hopes for this fight because there's no way he's fighting. In the video, Wonderboy's telling him something about, you know, what they're going to do in training or whatever. And Conor's like, yeah, it sounds good, yeah. And then Wonderboy goes, oh, are you going to help? Are you going to come coach with me today? And he goes, oh yeah, I'll be there. It's like, why is that even a question? This is his team. These are his guys. Like, why the fuck is it even a question as to whether or not he's going to be in training? It doesn't make sense. So, either way, we had... So, a couple weeks back, we had Trevor Wells and Timur Valiev scheduled to fight. Trevor Wells wound up with what he said was a cold sore. Kind of looked like maybe staph. I don't know. But either way, they didn't allow him to medically be cleared to fight. So they had to reschedule. So they canceled that bout and rescheduled. And this past week was the actual fight. So it was... So here's the thing. Already right away, they were, you know, Timur was like worried, saying, hey, I don't want to have to cut weight again. Like, I cut weight for this already, and now I'm gonna have to cut weight again. Like, that doesn't make sense. Why do I have to do that? Because these guys do have to cut weight and they don't have the normal 8 to 10 week fight camp to get their weight down naturally and then cut the last little bit at the end. These guys have to cut weight within weeks of, they were only in the house for like 6 weeks or something like that, so they're fighting pretty close together. So with that, you know, he was worried about that, and there's a good reason for that. But at the same time, Trevor Wells was like, well, I don't have problems cutting the weight. So they had a whole discussion about the weight cut and whether or not, you know, whether or not they needed to cut down to 135 like they're supposed to, or if they were going to do a catch weight. And they were talking about a catch weight at like 144, 140. And, you know, right here, this is one of Conor's coaches talking with Chandler and his coaches, because Dana told him, hey, you guys figure it out, see what you want to do. Dana said, I kind of feel like they shouldn't have to cut weight again. Let's just do a catch weight, it'll be fine, no big deal. And because Conor's guy said, no, I'm good, Conor sent his coach over there again, didn't show up for it. He just sent this coach and said, nope, you go tell him 135, that's what we're doing it at, that's what the weight is, that's what we're doing it at. We can make it, he should be able to make it. And of course Chandler's trying to stick up for his dude, saying, hey, you know, this is kind of bullshit, like it's your guys' fault that we had to reschedule this fight in the first place, so why the hell do we have to, you know, why do we have to cut weight again? Let's just agree to do the catch weight. They weren't having it. So basically they went back and forth on that, and then Michael Chandler gets a call. So Conor's coach says, hey, don't shoot the messenger, I'm just here to give you the message. Chandler says, go back to him, tell him 144, we'll do the fight at 144, let's do the catch weight. And he goes, okay, but I'm telling you right now, he's not gonna like it, he's not gonna want to do it, but I'll take it to him. Takes it to him. A few minutes later, Chandler gets a call from Dana White, and Dana White says, you know, hey, here's the deal, you guys gotta just do the catch weight and get it done, basically. I mean, there wasn't really a big thing. I guess the only thing Dana did was, I'm trying to remember exactly what he said, but they didn't really let us hear the call. Chandler was just like, okay, yes sir, okay, yep, all right, bye. That was pretty much what it was like. But it turns out that, I mean, Dana just budged a little bit and said 142. They all agreed, and that was fine. But it just kind of seemed like on the call that Chandler was like, yeah, okay, yes, the boss man said I got to do this, so yeah, that's fine. There it is. So bantamweight fight at 142. They made the cut, they did the thing, weighed in, done. But basically it seemed to me like Timur definitely got the best of Trevor Wells. I had Clark texting me about it as I was, you know, when I started watching it, because he had finished it, he watched it live, I guess, and he was saying that he thought it should have gone to a third round. It only went to 2 rounds. Timur got the win by decision, and it was a unanimous decision. So I mean, right there, if it was a split decision, I would say, hey, yeah, everyone kind of saw it that maybe maybe it was really close. It was a close fight. The thing is, though, Timur just was a little dominant when it came to control overall. Control in like octagon control, ground control. He controlled the strikes for the most part. You know, Trevor caught him a couple times, but nothing crazy, nothing massive. And Timur just got the best of him, I think. And, you know, by paying full attention and watching the entirety of the fight, because Clark wanted me to text him when I got done watching it. So I was like, I better pay full attention so I know what I'm doing and talking about, right? Because I just to be fair and to not argue with him if I thought otherwise, I wanted to make sure I knew what I was talking about. And so I paid attention, obviously. And yeah, to me, it seemed like Timur got the best of him, edged him out barely, you know. They gave him a unanimous decision. I feel like there it is, you know. Trevor Wells is a good fighter, but I don't think he got the best of Timur, and that was it. But before we get off this full topic, Oh, well, that makes Chandler 4-0. Conor's 0-4. I don't know. He can't be happy with that. And maybe he's losing interest because he feels like maybe his guys aren't good enough or something. But either way, he's not used to losing like that much, like that and that much. So I think he's getting frustrated. Maybe that's why there's a lack of interest. But he should be interested in the fact that, you know, he's not in the USADA testing pool yet. And that just basically means that the 6-month period to the last pay-per-view of this year means he's not going to make it. So basically, beforehand, I thought that he was in the USADA testing pool. He said he was. He said it was no problem. It sounded to me like everyone was talking about the fact that he's in now and he's good. Well, I guess you gotta submit a sample right away to be considered in the testing pool. I didn't know that little bit of a factor. Maybe I forgot. I'm not sure. But apparently that's the case. So he had to submit a sample to even be considered officially in. And he hadn't done that. Still hasn't done that to my knowledge. So it's over. It's too late. Chandler puts out a video and says, all right, guys, you guys have all seen the news. Conor is not in USADA. 179 days left until December 16th, which is supposed to be the last pay-per-view of the year. Comically, USADA shows up at my door today to add insult to injury. Where you at, boy? So yeah, you know, and I said that, you know, they're gonna try to maybe save it for next year, whether it be to kick the year off with a bang or wait until the, you know, wait a couple months in and wait for UFC 300 and put Conor on there. Who knows? Maybe Conor's not gonna fight at all. I don't know, but pretty concerning. He's not in the USADA testing pool. Is he still on steroids? Because we all know he had to have been to get over that leg injury. He was so bulky and just, yeah, he was so big. And then on top of that, maybe he's worried about the cocaine. I guarantee he's on that too. So allegations, allegedly, whatever you want to say, that's just my feeling from everything I've seen and everything I've heard and just watching him in general. But I think he needs to get his shit together here too with the Ultimate Fighter and figure it out, because he's not going to win. He only has maybe one guy, Lee Hammond, that has a great potential to win his fight. But other than that, all these other guys are going to get worked by these vets. And it's just going to be Chandler on top with everything. It'd be interesting to see how the coaches challenge goes. Because Conor's going to get super competitive. And then, yeah, it's going to be fireworks from there. So, yeah. I'm excited to watch next week's Ultimate Fighter. And see what happens. See what goes down. Maybe if they show some of these clips with Wonder Boy and, you know, allude to a little bit of what everyone's been seeing. But we'll see. But next we get to PFL 5 last week. A little bit of a recap. This was a big event for a couple reasons. Well, let's see. Larissa Pacheco fought and won. Who she's the, you know, last year's champ. We had Ante Delija and Maurice Green as the main event. Aspen Ladd fought Carolina Sobek. And then Julia Budd against Martina Jendrova. Julia Budd got that win by unanimous decision, by the way. And then, yeah, that was really it for those. But the big news coming, we'll go over a couple of those fights here in a minute, but the big news coming out of that event is Maurice Green is a protege of Jon Jones, which means Jon Jones is heavily immersed in that fight camp, and he's a corner man because he's a coach of Maurice Green. So Jon Jones was there. They didn't do a whole lot of promotion too far ahead of time, but the night of, they were like promoting the hell out of the fact that Ngannou is going to be there, Jon Jones is going to be there. Let's see what happens. EFL all over the place, just talking about it, making sure it's known that both those guys are going to be under the same roof, in the same place, not far from each other, and everyone was wondering what was going to happen. Well, we have some video footage of what did happen. And if you haven't seen it yet, here you go. And if you have seen it, well, here you go again. So, Jon Jones Francis Ngannou.
Daddy, please sign the paper for you so you can come fight.
So here, the first thing you see is Jon Jones looking like he's gonna, telling Ngannou he's gonna choke him out. And then Ngannou's like, why don't you sign the paper? Or I got a paper for you to sign so we can fight. And then there's Jones kind of in his starting stance from when he's getting ready to fight in the cage. So, they're just kind of playing some games here, little mind games back and forth. Ngannou's just laughing it up.
Tell your daddy to release you.
Tell your daddy to release you. That seems to be the thing to say now. Your daddy this and your daddy that. Dana White's everybody's daddy.
We gotta make this happen.
Damn right, you got to make this happen. So that was the beginning where he's saying, I'm going to choke you out. Pretty much. And, Ngannou's saying, we got to make this happen. Like, because he knows that this is like the biggest and the best thing that could happen for him right now. And he's still saying he's not going to fight till 2024 for the PFL, but he can't. How are they going to make this happen? Dana White ain't going to let this happen. He's got a vendetta against Ngannou right now. He says all the time he doesn't cross promote, and he's trying to skirt this whole thing with the Tyson Fury bullshit, which, by the way, Tyson Fury came out and said that he has an offer from the UFC, but then he countered with, I told you guys I'm not fighting in a cage, which means, so the UFC's throwing him offers to fight Jon Jones in a boxing match? Is that what's happening? I don't know. It's kind of weird. It was kind of cryptic or whatnot. I don't know all the details, but that was another thing that was in the news. But this got a little more juicy. What? Oh, all right, here we go. So, this starts off all fun and cool and jokey. That's Ray Sefo right there in the checkered jacket. He is, like the Dana White of the PFL pretty much. Kind of, he's like the main promoter. Ngannou's just, Jones is just kind of filling Ngannou's arms, laughing. Ngannou's touching his belly. Jones does look pretty thick. He's a thick boy in this video. And, they're just laughing it up and stuff. It starts off all sunshine and fun, but then we get a little deeper.
We're over here. Over there. You don't want no smoke. Huh?
So the way that, I know it's loud in there, and I know there's a bit of a, the language barrier kind of, because Ngannou understands and speaks English just fine, but he's got that thick accent. I don't think he fully understands. Like, he's not there 100%, but it's at like 99.9%. So that little bit there is always a little bit of a disconnect, and it's loud. There's people screaming and shit. But, the way Jon Jones reacts and the way that he talks and the way that he's carrying himself, it's a little funky and it's a little weird. So people were saying like he was drunk and all this other shit, but I just think it was the environment. I think it was, I don't know. It was weird. Let's keep watching.
You don't want no smoke. You don't want no smoke.
The hat comes off.
With the one true king.
Now, he said with the one, you don't want that smoke with the one true king. That's what he's saying. And Ngannou's just kind of going back and forth with him. And, Jon Jones took his hat off. And that's why I kind of threw that extra thing. Shit just got real. Because First, he takes his hat off. He gets a little more serious, starts talking about him being the one true king. Again, a little bit of an awkward exchange. And, he laughs it up here in a second, but then it gets real serious.
And I'm gonna die. We'll see. We could have saw, but you left. Oh no, just think about what you did.
Ooh. See, he said, we could have saw, but you left. And then Gavin said, nah, you sat back for 3 years. Jones kind of looked at him weird, put his head down. That's a little telling, like, shit, maybe I did fuck it up. And then he comes back.
I had to get to the size to kick your ass. I had to get to a good enough size to kick your ass. Yeah. That's a good 3 years. Yeah.
That's a good 3 years. Yeah, there you go. He said he wants to kick his ass. So, it starts off light and fun. They're being friendly, respectful, and then they get into it. So it's an interesting exchange. It was a little awkward, a little weird. Like I said, Jon Jones acting a little funny, but he's a weird dude, and that's kind of what it is. So, yeah, interesting to say the least. Very interesting. So we'll see what comes of that. We'll see what happens there. They've been going back and forth. But yeah, back to the PFL fights, because that was the main attraction of that night. But there was some good fights. We had former UFC fighter Aspen Ladd got a nice submission by armbar in round 2 against Karolina Sobek. So she got that win and advances. And then, like I mentioned earlier, Larissa Pacheco just doing work, man. She's a fucking beast. She beat Kayla Harrison, who was just unbeatable, looked like a world beater, proved herself over and over and over again. Amber Leibrock is not a small girl, and Pacheco just worked her. And it wasn't like a clean knockout, but it definitely was, it needed to be stopped. Pacheco hits hard. Leibrock looked like she wasn't putting up much of a defense, and they stopped the fight. Pacheco gets the win in the second round. And then, something that I forgot about last week that I didn't cover, because I'm a jackass, and I totally forgot. But we had Muhammad Ali's grandson, Biagio Ali Walsh, was fighting in the PFL last weekend. He got a big win against Travell Miller. It was a KO in the first round. But he's not the only one of Ali's grandsons that is involved with combat sports. We have Nico Ali Walsh, who is a boxer at the moment and looks to be pretty damn good himself. Let's see. Biagio Ali Walsh is a lightweight fighter for PFL. And, he looks pretty damn good in MMA. Let me see his record. That was his first win? I thought he had fought before. Oh, I see what they did here. So this was all of his wins are by KO or TKO, except for his one loss was by submission. But he's got 4 wins by KO or TKO. Ali with the hands, but that is Muhammad Ali's grandson. And here's a little bit of the action. Oh, actually, here is his other grandson, who is a boxer. Good hands, heavy hands, good body shots. I mean, he doesn't really look like Ali, but he's definitely his grandson. So, and then here's Biagio in the fight that happened last weekend, getting that finish. And then there's Flavor Flav. I don't know what but Flavor Flav has to do with him. Maybe he's just in the crowd watching, but he was excited. So yeah, that was a good TKO win for Biagio Ali Walsh. But yeah, I forgot to cover that last week, so I don't know what the hell I was thinking. I had it on my head, didn't prep anything for it, didn't go over it or nothing. but congrats to him. And it looks like he's a good up and comer. So this week we got PFL 6, continuation of the 2023 season. And this one is with the lightweight main event. Olivier Aubin-Mercier, former UFC fighter, against Anthony Romero. We got Sadabusi versus Shane Mitchell. Shane Burgos versus Yamato Nishikawa. And Magomed Kirimov. That's a hell of a name. Against David Zawada. And then another Magomed Umalatov versus Naib Lopez. That Magomed is undefeated. And I thought I saw someone else. Oh no, that's coming up on the UFC card. But then you got Clay Collard as well. And Natan Schultz. Let's see. Natan Schulte versus Roush Manifo. And Clay Collard's fighting Stevie Ray. So that should be an exciting fight, actually. But yeah, this is happening tomorrow night, June 23rd. PFL is usually on Friday, so check that out if you are into PFL. So let's move on to a bit of a recap of last week's Bellator event, because that was a pretty exciting event. Vadim Nemkov versus Yoel Romero. And then we had Jesus, man. Sergio Pettis. I couldn't think of his first name. But yeah, we had Sergio Pettis versus Patricky Pitbull. Pitbull was going for that history-making third division champion. So he was trying to get his third belt. He's been a champ in 2 different divisions, and he was looking to get that third belt. But Sergio Pettis didn't let that happen. So that was a pretty good fight as far as what I saw. And, Sergio came out to fight, got the win. I was pretty happy about that. And then we had Corey Anderson versus Phil Davis. So the most of this headlining card here was a bunch of former UFC fighters, except for Pitbull and Nemkov. Those are the only 2. Everyone else was in the UFC prior to being in Bellator. So that was kind of nuts. But yeah, we had Phil Davis. He gave Corey Anderson a pretty good fight. It was a split decision. Corey Anderson did get that win. He did work like he normally does with the wrestling. Picked up Phil Davis, slammed him, and put some big punches on him as well. Corey Anderson does hit hard when he puts his punches together and, decides that he wants to strike. He does a lot of wrestling. But, Phil Davis is a damn good wrestler as well. So I thought for sure, it was going to be back and forth on the wrestling. It seemed like a good mixed up fight with everything. And Corey Anderson came out the victor in that one. So then we had the Pitbull and Sergio Pettis fight. Pitbull comes out, he's just crazy, super adrenaline filled. Everything's overly dramatic when it comes to everything that he does. His punches, his takedowns, everything. He's super energetic. He's just that kind of dude, and that's why he's so successful, having won 2 belts prior to this. But unfortunately for him, he didn't get the win here. Didn't make that history. Sergio Pettis did work and came out unanimous decision after the 5-round bout. But, it's kind of hard to deny the talent of Pitbull. Just doesn't back down no matter what. But Sergio got the best of him and, won the belt, kept the belt. So good for him. I'm happy for him. I like Sergio Pettis. I like the Pettis brothers in general. So that was a good fight for him to win, keeping his belt. And then the main event, for the younger dudes and, putting in work. He did show his age a little bit in this fight, though. But you can never deny the work that Yoel puts in. Look at that Superman punch. Landing hard strikes against a beast like Nemkov, who is quite younger than him and is the champ at the... This is what I'm saying. It looked like... I don't know what he was... I don't know if he's doing some rope-a-dope shit here or... It looks like some drunken monkey style. I don't fucking know. You know what I mean? Of UFC Vegas 75, Marvin Vettori versus Jared Cannonier. And boy, was that fucking fight good. Shit. Vettori is a goddamn animal. Like, you can't do anything to get that guy out of there. He has a chin like no other. Took massive amounts of shots and still was standing. He looked pretty fucking beat up in the end, but he did a damn good job at holding his own. So, so that main event fight was pretty damn good. As far as lower in the card, let's see, notables would have been... Shit, there wasn't too much going on down there. Due to this bullshit. No non-fight. Now, was Ronnie Lawrence going to get out of this? I don't know. He looked like he was ready to tap anyway. But could you have let him go out on a shield? Let him go to sleep if that's what he wants. If he's not going to tap, let him go to sleep. You're not going to hurt the dude. It's a blood choke. You know, he goes out. Homeboy gets off of him. And then he wakes up in a couple seconds. No big deal. And, you know, but Keith Peterson, I don't know what the fuck he was thinking. But he fucked up. And he owned up to it. He said he fucked up. He knew he did. Right here, you could tell. Like, he stopped himself. And then he's like, you know what? I already touched him. I need to end it. And that's fine. But, dude, what are you doing? Like, what the fuck are you doing? So, and you can't make a mistake like that when Dominic Cruz has beef with you for ending a fight too early. One of his fights. And then he's on the commentator desk commentating for this fight. So of course he's going to talk shit. But, oh no. Did my music stop? And I bet you I did not. No, there it goes. It's just one of those songs that doesn't like to start up right away. That's annoying. So yeah, this was on the undercard. Stupid Keith Peterson. I don't know what the fuck. I mean, it's a tough job, you know? But it was so obvious. Like, I don't get it. Either way. Let's move on. Nicholas Dalby versus Muslim Salikov. Salikov got some good strikes in there, here and there, but Nicholas Dalby, you know, proved to be a little better than him on this night. Got the win by unanimous decision in this welterweight bout, and yeah, not too bad of a fight. I can't get over Nicholas Dalby's hair. Like, it's a little weird, a little funky. But you can definitely know it's him anytime you see that hair. I don't like this music, by the way. I don't know what the fuck I was thinking picking this song. Maybe I picked something I didn't mean to pick. This sounds like some elevator music. Fucking dinner music. I don't know. This is weird. So, sorry for the shitty music. Usually, I either don't notice it because it just flows, or I'm like kind of into it. You know what I mean? I don't know where this music came from. I think I might have thought it was something else. Either way. I'm not enjoying it that much, so I apologize if you aren't either. But we'll keep it rolling. Moving on to this nasty KO, man. Holy shit. That was a nasty elbow. Look at that. Right. I mean, his forearm and his elbow hit between the nose and the chin. That was Manuel Torres with that elbow against Nicholas Moda. Nasty KO. Out cold. Still got that follow-up shot. And yeah, KO in the first round for Manuel Torres versus Nicholas Moda. Very good fucking KO right there. That was fun to watch. And what's funny is I just started watching that fight like right before this happened, which is pretty dope that I got to see it. Because, you know, I kind of forgot about the fights, and then I you know, put it back on, realized I had missed the first minute or so of the fight. And then this happened, so. But the next fight was Pat Sabatini versus Lucas Almeida. Sabatini was just all over him. You know, it was a pretty decent first round. Come into the second, and Sabatini's just all over him, like I said. Gets him down to the ground, into position, and puts that arm triangle choke in and submits him in the second round. So good for Sabatini, and he gets that win in that featherweight fight against Lucas Almeida. Then we got Christian Leroy Duncan versus Armen Petrosyan. Now, Duncan always comes out with these, long strikes that he tries to, get in on everyone. He did kind of connect on some. Look at that long, just fully extended kick. But Armen Petrosyan got the best of him overall. Wound up with the unanimous decision. And then we move on to the other Arman and Arman Tsarukyan right here with this beginning of this ground and pound. Follows it up with even more and winds up getting that TKO win in the third round. And this was pretty brutal ending here. But Tsarukyan looked like he had some shit to take out on someone, and he definitely took it out on Joaquim Silva. Then we get to the main event. Like I said, Marvin Vettori, fucking badass, heavy hands. He connected on Jared Cannonier for sure. He got his in as well, but Jared got that win by unanimous decision. And like I said, this was a little before some of the early strikes coming from Vettori. But then he got a little bloodied up because Cannonier put that work on him. Look at his face. His nose. Well, his nose doesn't look great to begin with, but his nose is pretty fucked up. He's bloody. And, Cannonier just put that work in. Big time punches. Cannonier is a fucking beast, and he's got heavy hands. His strikes are good all around. Winds up with this big knee here as well. There's nothing more you can say. Cannonier is, he's a beast, and he's looking like he needs to keep up that work and see if he gets up to contention. His last one is, against Sean Strickland. Thank God he got that win, and he put some work on Strickland too, which always makes me happy. I don't know, like what am I gonna do if I see these guys out at the UFC X? Like, I know Sean Strickland's gonna be there. I don't like him, but I'm not big enough. This show ain't big enough for him to have caught on yet. But am I gonna stop for pictures with these people? Probably not. Not Sean Strickland for sure. I know Juliana Pena is gonna be there. If she maybe doesn't start screaming out stupid shit, I might take a picture with her or something. I mean, I like the girl, but what she did with Amanda Nunes, it's hard for going through this show. Doing this show makes me hold more vendettas because I'm just like, ugh, I can't even look past that cringy shit. It's annoying. So I don't know how I'm gonna I don't know how I'm gonna deal with that one. It's a little weird. Luckily, Colby Covington's name was not anywhere to be found on that list of people that are said to be there. Thank God. Because between him and Sean Strickland, I don't know who I hate more. But either way. Moving on. This week's fight, UFC on ABC 5. So if you're looking to watch it, you can catch it on ABC. It's a little bit earlier afternoon, early evening. I guess the prelim started like 3 or something. I don't know. It's a little earlier though. So if you're looking to watch the fights at like 7 or 8 p.m., you're going to only catch the very end probably. So I do believe you can still watch it on ESPN Plus though, but I'm not 100% sure. That's always up in the air. It is what it is. But this is being headlined by Josh Emmett versus Ilia Topuria. And man, I'm looking forward to this fight. These two guys are fucking, it's just going to be a banger. These two guys are going to come out there swinging for the fences and just wanting to fuck each other up. So, some of the notables at the bottom in the prelims, Tabitha Ricci versus Jillian Robertson should be pretty damn good. Tabitha Ricci has been on a tear lately, but so is Jillian Robertson. But Robertson, sorry, Baby Shark, Tabitha Ricci is 8-1, and she is coming off of she's on a 3-fight win streak, coming off a win over Jessica Penne in March. So that was a submission armbar win in the second round. Before that, a couple decision wins. But yeah, she is a beast, and she's fighting Jillian Robertson, who is a submission specialist at this point. She's 12-7 though. She's always catching those submissions. Her last one was against Piera Rodriguez, submission by armbar in the second round. That was in April. So Maria Agapova, that was a rear naked choke submission as well. Yeah, a lot of her wins are by submission or decision. But she's on a 2-fight win streak, and she's looking to extend that against Tabitha Ricci. But I don't know, man. I'm liking Tabitha Ricci in that fight. But Jillian Robertson is tough. Because if it goes to the ground, Robertson is going to sink some kind of submission in for sure. But then we got Randy Brown versus Wellington Turman. That should be a pretty good fight. And then, oddly enough, the main fight on the prelims is Neil Magny versus Philip Rowe. So Neil Magny on the prelims. That's kind of nutty. I don't know why he's down there. I guess because he's coming off a loss to Gilbert Burns. Before that, a win against Daniel Rodriguez. Before that, a loss to Shavkat Rakhmonov. Maybe that's why he hasn't strung together wins in a while. So, but Neil Magny, you can always expect a great fight out of Neil Magny. And he's fighting Philip Rowe. Let's see, he is 10-3. He's on a 3-fight win streak. Coming off a win over Nico Price by TKO in the third round. That was in December of last year. He hasn't fought since last year. So, but he is on a 3-fight win streak. So we'll see if he can hang with Neil Magny, who seems to be kind of a gatekeeper at this point. But he's definitely a tough-ass fight. So, then we get to the main card. Brendan Allen versus Bruno Silva. Brendan Allen, 21-5. I don't know a ton about Brendan Allen, but he is on a 4-fight win streak, which is pretty badass. Last fought in February, and it looks like he gets a lot of submissions. But yeah, I can't necessarily say that I've seen a lot of his fights. And he is fighting Bruno Silva, which one of the two Bruno Silvas in the UFC, who is 23-8. Damn, he's coming off a win against Brad Tavares in April by TKO in the first round. But before that, he had a couple losses. So, yeah, Brendan Allen, though, this big body punch to right on the chin, and then wound up getting that submission against Sam Alvey. And then you got Bruno Silva just using this dude's head as a fucking punching bag. Jesus Christ. Sanchez, whoever you are, bro, you got fucked up. But Bruno Silva is just nonstop. I mean, this is a GIF and it's looping. It's replaying over and over. But I think it's kind of funny how it looks. He just keeps going. He's like a fucking machine. So that should be a pretty good fight. Then we got David Onama versus Gabriel Santos. Onama's 10-2. Coming off a loss to Nate Landwehr. Nate the Train. That was back in August of last year. So yeah, he hasn't fought since August of last year. Damn. Against Gabriel Santos, who's 10-1. Coming off a loss to Lerone Murphy in March of this year. That was by decision. So, David Onama, big, heavy hands, good strikes. I haven't seen a whole lot of him as well, but he's got a good mix of everything. Not too many decisions, so that's good. Only a couple decisions on his entire record. Everything else is submission or KO or TKO, which is awesome. That's what you like to see out of a fighter. You're not going to get too many or you're not going to get much of a boring fight if they always get a finish of some sort. And Gabriel Santos has a lot more decisions, but his other wins are mainly by submission. So this could be a ground game, or it could be a stand-up war. Who knows? But be on the lookout for that one. That's it for them. And then we come to kind of an interesting one. We got Austen Lane versus Justin Tafa. Now, there was supposed to be a different fight here, and these guys got thrown in instead. Austen Lane, though, is a former Jacksonville Jaguar. Yeah, he's an NFL football player, or used to be. He's coming off of the Contender Series. So this is his first official fight in the UFC against a pretty big opponent in Justin Tafa. Tafa's no joke. He looks like he is very calm all the time, but he throws hands and he fucks people up. And he always looks like he does it effortlessly. His nickname is Bad Man. All right. 6-3, coming off a win over Parker Porter. Look at this. He's on a 2-fight win streak. Both of his last 2 wins are by KO. One's by punches, one's by head kick, and they're both in the first round. Before that, he had 2 losses by decision, but then a win by TKO in the first round. Almost all of his wins are by KO or TKO in the first round. That's crazy. So Austen Lane has a bit of a challenge in front of him, but you know, he's there with the big punches as well. We'll see what kind of how far that athleticism of his gets him. And yeah, Justin Tafa, of course, big kicks with those big ass legs, and on top of that, he's got big punches as well. You never know what you're gonna get hit with, but Tafa's gonna definitely walk away calm as can be and act like he just you know, put the hood down on his car. That's pretty much how calm he is. So now we get to the co-main event, Amanda Ribas versus Maycee Barber. This should be a pretty damn good fight as well, because both these women are really good on the ground. Maycee Barber has really good strikes as well, but Amanda Ribas can keep up with that. So, also, not bad looking, either one of them. Amanda Ribas, oof. She's out there, putting it out there for sure. But, and she is just energetic as fuck. Like, when she gets on the mic, you can't even keep up with how fast she talks. She's got a high-pitched, squealy voice. It's kind of funny. But Maycee Barber is a damn good fighter. She had a little bit of a hiccup in her career with that big knee injury she had, so she was out for a while with that one. But she calls herself the future. She, at first, had said she was going to be the next youngest UFC champion, but then obviously the setback with the knee injury, and also she was kind of back and forth with her record too, so running into opposition that she wasn't really ready for. But Amanda Ribas is 11-3, coming off a win over Vivian Araujo back in March of this year. A lot of decision wins for her, which is to be expected with the women. But you know, she got a big win over Mackenzie Dern, which is what you see here. And then also, you know, a lot of big punches. She does put hands on people and does a lot of damage, but still a lot of decisions. She has a win over Paige Van Zandt as well. Emily Whitmire, Randa Marcos. She's got a lot of big wins over a lot of big names. Only losses to Marina Rodriguez and Caitlin Chikagian, Polyana Viana, but that wasn't even in the UFC. So, yeah, Amanda Ribas is a damn good fighter, and this should be an exciting fight against Maycee the Future Barber, who is 12-2. She's always coming out with the big crazy strikes, spinning back elbows, spinning back fists, crazy kicks. She is on a 4 fight win streak against people like Andrea Lee, Jessica I, Montana De La Rosa, and Miranda Maverick. Those are all fucking big wins against big names. So the future is true. That's a 4-fight win streak, but they're all by decision. But I will say she is always involved in an exciting fight. She always puts, goes out there and strikes. And if she gets on the ground, she's putting in work down there too. Her last loss was to Alexa Grasso, who is the current champ of that division. The bantamweight division, or bantamweight? No. The fuck? Jesus Christ. What are they? What fight? Is it bantamweight? No, it's featherweight. No, featherweight's 145. Son of a bitch. Why can't I remember? That's gonna bug me now. Shit, where was I going with that? Flyweight. God damn it, I couldn't remember. You know what it is? Every time I get confused between flyweight and featherweight. Not the weights. I know the fucking weights. It's the names. The F's fuck me up. Flyweight and featherweight. I might not be the only one, but that shit fucks me up all the time. I don't know why. Either way, that's a good fight. Looking forward to that one. I'll definitely be sitting in and watching that fight for sure, because I'm excited to see who's going to come out on top on that one. Then with the main event, Josh Emmett versus Ilia Topuria. Both beasts. Big strikes. Good strikes. Both of them have knockout power. And Josh Emmett is like a marauder. Just comes out there. He looks crazy. He gets crazy. His demeanor is not usually that of what he looks like. It doesn't match very well. Same with Topuria, but they're both very good with their hands. Big strikes, big KOs. And for being featherweights, they don't usually have heavy hands like that. Josh Emmett's coming off a loss to the current interim champ at featherweight, Yair Rodriguez. But before that, he was on a 5-fight win streak, starting with this one against Michael Johnson. That big KO. KO, TKO, a bunch of decisions. He got submitted by triangle by Yair. That was back in February. So that was for the interim belt. So, he's coming off of a title fight for the interim title. And that was a loss for him. So he's definitely coming back looking for a big win against Ilia Topuria. Here's a little more of that KO against Ricardo Lamas. Holy shit. That was a hell of a punch right there. Nasty left hook. Just drops Ricardo Lamas. So yeah, and then moving on to Ilia Topuria. He is 13-0. Oh, that's right. There's like 3 fighters that are undefeated on this card. One being Ilia Topuria. And this was against Bryce Mitchell, who was his last win. He got that submission choke. But as you can see by Bryce Mitchell's face, he got bloodied up. He got beat up beforehand. And then he got taken out by Topuria, which Bryce Mitchell said he was pretty sick and wasn't himself in this fight. I believe it a little because I'm not used to seeing him get beat up like that. But obviously, Topuria is undefeated in MMA. But of those 13 fights, he's got 5 fights in the UFC. So he's 5-0. A lot of his 3 out of the 5 are by KO. His last one by submission and only 1 by decision. And before that, even, he had a bunch of submission finishes. So I'm thinking this is not going to go all 5 rounds. So if you're wanting to bet and you like betting prop bets, that's a good one to bet. Under 5 rounds, maybe look at under 3 rounds even. But it's definitely not going to go to a decision, at least as far as I can tell. That would be my best prediction. Ilia Topuria is either going to pull off a sub or a KO. Or Emmett's going to catch him and KO his ass too. This one was nasty. Just bouncing his head off the canvas. He looks like he's out already. And look at how many strikes he gets in. Wow. Pretty crazy. That's why I said Emmett and Topuria do not look like featherweights. They look like fucking at least middleweights, just dropping bombs on people. Bouncing people's heads off the canvas. And fucking them up. So this is going to be an exciting fight. I'm actually looking really forward to this card, at least the top 2 fights. But there is a few bangers at the bottom too, so that Neil Magny fight should be interesting as well. So don't forget to catch that on Saturday. Should be fun. And that about does it for me. So a little less time than I took last week, but there was a lot to cover still, and a lot of that combat sports news. That's always interesting. Conor McGregor just can't stay out of the fucking headlines. Of course, he's going to be in the headlines no matter what, because he is a part of The Ultimate Fighter, which is a weekly show. So there'll always be something to talk about with him and to cover, good or bad. It'd be nice if he was only being covered for The Ultimate Fighter or something good, and instead he's caught up in the mix of all these allegations and bullshit. But we'll see if that fizzles out now that some of these videos have surfaced, and it's looking like this woman is not necessarily telling the full truth. Maybe not the truth at all. Seems like they're trying to go for a bit of a shakedown, maybe get some quick money. Who knows? Either way, it's unfortunate for Conor, and I hope he can get his shit together and get out of all this bullshit. And then, yeah, the craziness with Francis Ngannou and Jon Jones. I don't think anything's going to come of that as of right now, but we'll keep an eye on that. Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg. It's probably not going to be for a while if anything happens with that at all, but still funny. Still interesting. Dana White's entertaining it. I don't know why, Mr. I don't do gimmick fights. Either way, I'll have a drink to it. That about wraps it up. So don't forget to like and subscribe, please. Tell a friend, send them the link, share this with somebody. Go check out all my social media going on down there. Even on my other screen, I had it at the bottom left. Check it out. I kind of an aggregator of headlines and posts and whatnot. I'll always try to post everything good that's coming out there. So if you haven't seen it anywhere else, you'll see it from me, because I'll find it and put it out there, as long as I'm not too caught up with work or something else. But I try to stay on it. So you'll always see something posted. Instagram and Facebook especially. But I'm also on Twitter and TikTok. So go follow me everywhere. Going Arounds Podcast, except for Twitter, it's Going Arounds Pod. Like, subscribe to this channel, please. Share it with somebody. Comment later if you got something to say. And then catch me next week again, Thursday at 7 p.m. We will recap this weekend's fights, which should be pretty good. We'll go over the next weekend's fights, because there's fights every weekend when it comes to the UFC, at least for now. PFL should be continuing on. We'll go over the Ultimate Fighter again, and then whatever other crazy news is going on. So don't forget to come back next week, Thursday, 7 p.m. right here, Going Arounds Podcast channel, on YouTube. And yeah, if you want to listen only, you can catch it anywhere that you listen to your podcasts, any platform. If you have everyone has Spotify, right? You can go to Spotify. You can watch the video there, or just listen to the audio only. Up to you. You can find audio only in a bunch of other places too. So check it out. If you can't find it, let me know. I'll get it on there for you. Other than that, don't forget to come back next week. Enjoy the fights this weekend. Have a good weekend. And I'm out. If I get to my end screen first. Yep, I'm out. Thanks for joining me. Come back next week. I'm out. Peace.